Dr. Ulia Link is a landscape geologist and a member of the Fredericton chapter of the Council of Canadians and joins me on the phone from Fredericton. Doctor, how are you today?
Good, thank you. Hello, Todd.
Hi. So what's the Council of Canadians Fredericton chapter do? What's your mandate?
Oh, our mandate is simply we're a citizen-based, very highly democratic organization where people get together and address issues of concern to citizens. And we are today very, very proud to be one of the 27 groups that have joined in unity in this open letter that was delivered today to shale oil and gas industry.
And this open letter went to SWN Resources Canada and who else?
Oh, SWN Resources Canada, Corridor Resources, Contact Exploration, Windsor Energy, and other ones, and also Geokinetics Exploration. So the list goes on quite a bit, and all the industry companies that are currently, to some degree, have a license in this province to undertake such exploration.
And what are the warnings here? What do you want people to know about? What are you telling the industry?
Well, the main intent really is to bring to the attention to everybody, like media and even investors and other stakeholders, that the shale oil and gas companies operating in New Brunswick or planning to operate in New Brunswick do not have a social license, meaning really they don't have the consent of the local communities where they plan to operate.
But if the government tells them they can, does that not supersede social license?
Well, no. We have been working hard to distribute our message to the government. Community groups, unions, associations, we have together been working for the last 2 years, being very consistent in our message to the government that they really do not have a mandate to go forward on this file, since they really have not obtained or not even really seek the consent of the people, the Aboriginal people and non-Aboriginal people. And this, you have been aware, we've spoken before, there have been open letters before, and we just did 2 months ago formulate a similar letter addressing our very own government to ask them to stop, to no longer renew any licenses and to stop this, because the sentiment is just simply the people are not comfortable with this. We don't want shale gas in this province.
How do you know you speak on behalf of New Brunswickers when you say that?
Oh, first of all, there's the amount of people that only our 27 groups represent is tremendous. I mean, we have huge organizations that are endorsing this. I mean, there's QP New Brunswick with representing 30,000 people, and then there's the New Brunswick Senior Citizens Federation who are representing 18,000 people, and the list goes on and on. So this is what we're really trying to show here, that we're actually demonstrating here is that we have achieved only with this alliance, such a level of unity that we are agreeing on this, that we are deeply concerned about this. And, really, if you look at this in the larger context of what's going on right now with for example, in general, the concern about climate change, we're just saying, leave this unconventional shale gas resources in the ground. We cannot afford this. This is we just cannot go ahead with such a thing, and we have to stop this.
What about the fact that the Liberals now are calling for, I believe their platform or their stance is a moratorium, yet when they were in government, they were the ones that were allowing this to come into the first place. So does that resonate as a little disingenuous, or do you like what the Liberals are doing now?
Well, this comment I can only speak on my own behalf, but I am very skeptical about what the Liberals' message has been, because it has not been very clear. So for us to infer that they're going for a moratorium, for me personally, is not very clear, because what I have been told repeatedly is that, until regulations are in place, until we can do this with a strong regulatory body, which really is not all that much different than the message of what the Conservatives are telling us. They're not saying they want a moratorium, but they're saying, we're going to regulate this. Well, I think I can speak on the behalf, again, on all people now in the next comment, that we don't believe that regulations can make fracking safe. There is just no way. So I am not comfortable. I am really looking for a new we're looking for a new path forward, not one that includes fossil fuels, but we're wanting to promote a shift towards renewable energies and abandon this runaway train track. Time is high urgent time in order to avoid catastrophic climate change. We're all aware what's going on, and we just cannot go ahead with this. We need to stop this and look for alternatives, and really look also for leadership, political leadership, that will achieve this. And and what we really need is, be it the Liberals, be it the NDP, be it the Greens, and I mean the last two, NDP and Greens, have been very clear that they want to ban a complete ban on this, and to change our energy and economy to other directions. So I mean, that needs to be addressed. We are demanding a change, and this resonates very clearly among many people. Many people are very, very concerned about where we're headed.
Okay. Later in the show, after the 3:30 news, I'm going to talk with Dr. Arlise Cleary, New Brunswick's Chief Medical Health Officer.
Yes.
And she released an 82-page report a few months ago suggesting that she'd like to see many things adopted in order to make this a safe industry. Do you think that, would you be comfortable if the government adopted all of those? Would that rest your concerns?
Well, I have a little bit of different view on the Dr. Cleary report, because I have followed this also quite clearly. The news today were in what I read exactly as you stated it, but I also heard Dr. Cleary speak before on other occasions, and also this morning on the interview on CBC, for example. Dr. Cleary is also very, very worried. She said this morning that communities are uncomfortable. They're getting more and more concerned about what fracking could mean for them. Also, she mentioned that people are very concerned about the long-term costs that this industry will bring, both health, social, and environmental. I inferred that these kinds of costs. So to say that the rules, to say that these would be her recommendations would be incorporated rules to make fracking safe, I think is a misjudgment, or not the right conclusion of her report. Her report is simply a very, very fine example of excellent research pointing out all the detrimental effects that fracking can have on human prosperity and nature. And she has actually in her report said that we need to ban fracking from any areas, like groundwater resources. Now, and in order for this to happen, we need to first of all map where the aquifers are. So we don't have any of this information. So really, if you go then to the next step, it is clear that if you follow these recommendations, you cannot do fracking because we don't even have the knowledge about where the drinking water resources are. So my opinion on this conclusion that Dr. Cleary's recommendation are supposedly helping to regulate the industry, I completely differ with that. That's not my interpretation of what the health report is doing.
So there is really, because this industry is active in many, many jurisdictions, some in Canada, but the United States a lot more. Can you cite any of those examples or any of those instances where if you went into the community and asked about this industry where it would be overwhelmingly positive?
I was thinking you would ask me about negative.
No, but we know.
I don't know. I have not heard a single thing about positive effects. I know that There have been analysis done from an economic perspective where it shows that, for example, median income of the communities or the municipalities that are in shale gas operating zones are lower than surrounding counties in U.S. So that, to me, I don't see anything positive. And we know about all the negative things. I mean, we've had letters to the editors even in this last week, accounts of people that live in Pennsylvania and in these areas, and that really have urged us, personal accounts that have urged us in New Brunswick, saying, don't do this. There is huge concerns. These people are facing this industry on a day-by-day basis, and they said, had we known this, we would have fought it. We have a chance now to turn it around and to really unify across the globe, because across the globe, people are waking up and really realizing it's time for change.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, I thank you, Todd, for inviting me.
Okay, Dr. Ulia Link, a member of the Fredericton chapter of the Council of Canadians.